The NBA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, presented by Shady Rays. Go to shadyrays.com. Use code SGPN for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. We're also brought to you by the Golf Gambling Podcast tailor-made Stealth 2 driver giveaway. Head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/driver to enter today before the big drawing on April 8th. We're also brought to you by Baseball Money is Fake podcast, our fantasy baseball podcast. Join Blake and Ryan 3 times a week and get all the player breakdowns and statistical data you need to dominate MLB. Yes, sir. We are back with another edition of the NBA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. No me, no the voice, no the guys. Me, really real, villain real, Terrell from Virginia here at your service. And no, do not check your phone. It is a Tuesday. I am on the pod pulling overtime this week, and it's going to be so sweet because we have a 13-game card today in the reboot of the NBA. Got my guy Delonte Smith with me as well. Delonte, what's going on?
What's up, man? Yeah, ready to get right into it. I'm glad all eyes are on something we specialize in now that college is over. So be a lot more eyes on what we do best, which bodes well for us because we've been doing it for the entire season.
And I got my guy Scott Studio Reichel. Scott, what's going on?
Yeah, looking forward to going through the card. It's always unfortunate when college basketball season ends, but that's kind of the ultimate signal that the playoffs are right around the corner for the NBA, which should be fun. However, the spirit of college is alive and well on this card because there are a lot of double-digit favorites. So we're going to see what happens in the actual schedule.
Yeah, let's go ahead and break it down. First game on the slate, we have the Cleveland Cavaliers going to play the Orlando Magic in Orlando. Cavs are laying 5. 222 is the total. That total has come up 3 points already from 229. Looking here at an injury report for the Cleveland Cavaliers, and we have Isaac Okoro is out, Dylan Windler is out, but you will see a return of Jared Allen to the lineup, who's been in and out within eye/calf/ he's had a couple of injuries. He's a little banged up right now, but Jared Allen is back in the lineup. Dean Wade will be replacing the starting lineup. Isaac Okoro. And for the Orlando Magic, we have Admiral Schofield questionable. Kevon Harris is not on the injury report. So pretty much same starting lineup for the Orlando Magic and Fultz Harris, Gary Harris, Franz Wagner, Paolo Banchero, Wendell Carter Jr. Scott, I'm going to go to you. You're laying 5 with the Cavs on the road.
Well, that was a rhetorical question because I'm not laying 5 on the road with the Cavs against Orlando. I like Orlando's current form. They've been playing good basketball. You look at the overall record and you think that they're a below-average team, but that was really the start of the season. They really got off to a bad start. They've been playing basically above 500 ball for the last couple months, and they've been solid at home. Cleveland, despite all of the praises we can have for them, they still have not been a good road team. They are still 18-21 straight up on the road. These teams played twice this season, but that was back in either October or December, so I'm tossing those out. Both those games were in Cleveland as well, so that kind of goes back to my point. Orlando's 10 games under 500, but they're 1 game over at home, so they are a much better home team than road team. I'm going to go with Orlando here. I think Okoro being out is a big deal for the Cavs perimeter defense. I think Orlando has enough depth to potentially make life uncomfortable for Cleveland. Give me Orlando at home here. I'll take the 5 points.
All right, Delonte, what you like?
Yeah, I like Orlando too. They've been playing a lot better home, like Scott alluded to. They're also 22-17 ATS at home. Their defense has been playing extremely well, allowing under 110 in 4 of the last 5 games. I didn't like what I saw from Cleveland when they played against Indiana on Saturday or Sunday, one of those days. I forgot. But their last game against Indiana, didn't like what I was seeing. I know, Jared Allen was in and out of the lineup, but I thought they should have pretty much blasted Indiana, but they kept them around. The defense has struggled a bit as of late. They've allowed 120 plus in 2 of the last 3 games. So that's not usually what they do. They're struggling defending the 3. So if Orlando can get out and make some threes and get in transition, they should have a little bit of success here. The one thing that I am worried about with Orlando is their turnovers. They're like bottom 6, 7 in turnover rate on offense, and Cleveland does a good job of taking the ball away, top 5 in turnover defense. So if they can limit those turnovers, I think they got a shot to not only cover but win this game outright.
Yeah, no. So Orlando really has turned it around on the defensive side of the ball. Past 5 games, you look at them in terms of defensive rating, and they are actually second in the league, only behind the Boston Celtics in the past 5 games. And when you look at Cleveland, they've fallen off a little bit, all the way down at 16 in terms of defensive rating. And then add in the fact that, just digging deep into that, like you talked about, they are giving up 107.2 points per game in the last 5 games. That's good for 6th in the NBA during that span. Field goal percentage, defense is number 1 in the last 5 games, 42% opponent field goal percentage. And so even, limiting the 3 ball, that 30.2% from 3, that's 3rd in the NBA during that span. Orlando's really, really kicked it on defensively. They really, really have shown an effort over the end of this season that they are going to compete in every single game. They're going to try to win every single game. This is not a tank fest for them. And I mean, they're technically not out of it for the 10 seed. So that, I guess you can somewhat throw that in there, but wow, how highly unlikely it is. Yeah, Orlando's been really good. I'm here back in Orlando in this spot. I think that they have the depth offensively, even though that they do have some mistakes, and you can expect that from a young team, but they still got Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner, and I think those guys are kind of a little bit of a mismatch for Cleveland, especially when you talk about their guard depth and seeing how that they're going to attack Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland today. So, yeah, it feels good. I truly do like the Orlando Magic here. Sprinkle a little bit on the money line. This is the first game of a back-to-back set. Let's say Orlando wins the first one, and maybe Cleveland comes back and wins the second one. So I like it. Totals at 222. Delonte, do you have anything on the total?
Yeah, I probably would lean under also in this game with the defenses, like you said. I mean, Cleveland's defense has been playing a lot worse, but I mean their standard was so high that they had no other choice but to fall. I am worried about some of the advantages that Cleveland has, especially at the rim. The Magic don't have a lot of interior depth. So Allen, Mobley, they could have a field day inside. But ultimately, they play at the slowest pace in the NBA. The Magic offense is not good, 26th in points per possession offense. So I think both teams play a slow pace, low possession game. I like the under.
Scott?
I think I'm going to lean over in this one. I was mentioning some of my concerns about their defense with Okoro being out last week, and then we saw the Knicks score 130, and then they were fine, I guess, against Indiana last game defensively, but Indiana's completely punted on the season at this point, so I don't know if that really means anything. But I'm going to lean over. I'm not sold on the backup perimeter defender options for Cleveland, so I do think that Orlando could have some success, and I think Cleveland should have some success on the glass. And Donovan Mitchell is also Donovan Mitchell. So I'm going to go with the over. I think each team has a certain way that they could have success in this game offensively. Give me the over in this game.
So y'all are split, and I'm torn. So
at least we got that in common. So
y'all want to play a game?
The ref report.
Let's play a game of The Ref Is Not Right. As Scott pulls up who's going to be the actual ref for the game, and I am going to figure out what their stats are for over the course of this season. Scott, do you have the refs for tonight?
The usual source of the ref information does not have anything listed for some reason, so I'm going to quickly check the NBA official website to okay. We're talking about the Cleveland game. All right, you have Curtis Blair as the crew chief.
Curtis Blair is 33-26 to the over with a total of 229.
You nervous over there, Delonte? A little bit of an over ref there.
It did start well for the under.
You got Brian Forte and John Connolly as your other two.
And Brian Forte is an under ref at 29-30, but the total is at 229.2 still. And you say, who's the last one?
John Connolly.
John Conley is slightly an over ref at 17 and 16 with 229.6. So, yikes. All three are above this number in terms of points per game. I'm going to have to lean over. I'm going to have to go with over. I'm trusting the ref report with this one. All right. What do we have prop wise, Scott?
So for starters, Allen's back in the lineup. Does that mean that you're assuming he'll actually get a normal workload? Because if he does, aren't you going to kind of just pivot to Allen double-double? I think he should have a pretty good game. Mitchell, I think, is going to have a good game as well. We saw Mitchell drop a 40-piece against the Knicks, and I think that he could put up a good overall game here. But I mentioned the overall wing defenders or lack thereof for the Cavs with Okoro being out. So I feel like I am pretty tempted by either Banchero, obviously, but he might get the Evan Mobley treatment. I kind of like Wagner in this game. I'm just trying to think of who's going to fully match up with him on the wings. Right now, is it Dean Wade? Like, is Dean Wade going to get the Franz Wagner matchup? So I think I'm going to look at Franz. I think he's got a good matchup in the spot.
All right, Delonte. Oh, well, you got to come off mute first, sir.
It happens once the show. Sorry. Yeah. So I like his Paulo's rebounds over 7.5. He's over in 4 straight. I'm sorry. He's had double digits in 3 of those. No interior size for them, so he's going to have to, be more involved in the paint, like rebounding and trying to keep the Cavs off the glass. So I think he has a pretty big night on the glass. So I'm looking for, him to have 10 or more on the glass tonight. That's the only one I like.
Yeah, here. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Going to my guy, Evan Mobley, over 17.5. He's been getting it done offensively. He has, like we said the other week, that pick and roll between Garland and Mobley is like nearly unguardable. Like, it's insane how much connection those two have on the pick and roll and how good that they can be. And I think that that's somewhere where they can take advantage in this tonight. So I am going to roll with Evan Mobley, 17.5. And before we get to the next game, I got to talk to you about Shady Rays because our friends at Shady Rays have you covered from the sun to the slopes with their premium polarized shades and customizable. Oh my God, can I talk today? Please. All right, we're good. Customizable snow goggles. Shady Rays is an independent sunglass company that offers a world-class product. Everybody's getting their Shady Rays. Scott, do you have your Shady Rays on you?
I do not have them currently, but I know where they are, so I'll have to get them for the next one.
He said that last time. All right. Shady Rays, go to shadyrays.com. Use code SGPN for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try yourself. The shades rated 5 stars by over 200,000 people. All right, gentlemen, let's get on to the next game of the slate. We have here, who's next? The Charlotte Hornets are welcoming the Toronto Raptors again to Charlotte, minus 14.5 here. Again, I think. Was that last one 14.5 or was it 12.5?
Yeah, it's 14.5.
Yeah, so 14.5 here again. You have a total sitting here at 223. That's come down half a point. Injury report for these two teams, and for the Toronto Raptors, we have. Where did you go, Toronto? OG Anunoby is questionable. Gary Trent Jr. is questionable. Will Barton is probable. And for the Charlotte Hornets, Terry Rozier, PJ Washington, Kelly Oubre, Gordon Hayward, all out. Mark Williams is probable, and Dennis Smith Jr. is questionable. All right. Let's start with Scott. What are you doing here laying the big number with Toronto?
I'll take Fred VanVleet assists, and I'll call it a day. I think that's how I'm going to go about this. Charlotte, I think you got to fade them. It was a fun ride. What was it? 2 games? 3 games? It was a glorious 3 games. I hope that they hang the gambling banner for the upset wins that they had for like a week or 2 ago. They've gotten buried the last couple of games. It has not been pretty at all. VanVleet had a 20-20 game, which I did not expect to see, but I'm not totally surprised by it. But Smith Jr. has been injured. We've seen Hayward injured. Pretty much anybody worth a damn on this team has been injured. And they're still doing the center rotations. So I'm assuming Williams will not be playing in this game, or maybe he will, but Richards will be back, and either Kai Jones or Williams will be out. It's a lot of points to lay on the road, but Toronto did just kill this team. It is 14.5, though. I think I'm going to have to wait to see if Dennis Smith plays, because I actually do think the drop-off between him and Maledon is pretty large, because I'm really not a Maledon guy. I'm going to
4 for 16 last time out.
Yeah, I know.
But he had 14 assists.
Yeah, he can't really shoot, though, but he was solid facilitating in that game. I think I'm just going to stick with what I said. I'm going to go with Van Vliet assists. I'm kind of going to cop out on the side. But Charlotte has been really, really bad the last couple games, so I think the spread is actually warranted. But I would rather not lay 14.5 with Toronto on the road. I'd rather lay it at home if I had the choice. So I think I'm going to lean Charlotte, even though I don't feel great about it. But I am looking at Van Vliet double-double again.
All right. Latte, what you doing?
Yeah, man, I'm with Scott. I pretty much would, if I would play the game, I'd probably lay it with the Raptors. Hornets, they're playing hard. They just don't have a lot of talent. And the way the Raptors have been playing over the last 10 games, I think they're hitting their stride. They're gonna be a dangerous team in the play-in if they get the right matchup, especially. They covered 7 of the last 10. Defense has been really well, allowing under 105 in 3 of the last 5 games. Offense has been slightly better. They're usually around 25th, 26th in points per possession. Their rating is 3rd in the last 10 games on offense. So Scott pretty much summed it up. The Hornets they probably get buried here. I would look at maybe their team total under, especially the way the Raptors have been playing defense. They just don't have the scoring ability or options to be able to score here. So I'll lean to the Raptors more. I more so like the first quarter over and then the game under. 8 of the last 10 of the Raptors' first quarters have went over. The first matchup went over by 4 points. I think it was 56 and a half. They had 60. The Raptors pretty much scored with ease. Every other possession they were scoring. Got what they want. I mean, so I like that first quarter play, the first quarter overplay, and then the full game under.
All right. Yeah, I think if I played Raptors, I play them early. Not really concerned about laying a large number, -5 in the first quarter, and even the 8.5 in the first half. The fact that I'm getting under double digits in the first half actually is pretty appeasing. I think that it's just that you can feel a backdoor situation here that could absolutely come into fruition towards the end of this game, with the fact that the Raptors just need to win. Like, they understand they just need to win. They don't have to go out here and handle this by margin. And if they're up 10 points with 5 minutes, not 10, but like 15 points with 4 or 5 minutes to go in the game, I can see them absolutely pulling everybody and just saying, hey, like, we win by 11, it's still good. We win by 10, that's still good. So I'm gonna say Charlotte. I'm gonna say Charlotte plus 14.5, but I love the Raptors in the early part of the game. All right. So is everybody on the under?
Yeah, I probably would go. If you had to play either side, I would play the Raptors team total over or the Hornets team total under. I wouldn't play the full total.
I think I have to lean to the under if you're asking me just for the actual side thought here, because I'm not totally sure how Charlotte's supposed to score. Now, I guess the counter argument is, well, Charlotte's defense is horrible, so maybe Toronto can score 128 points again. They're still 13 and 25 on the road. I am expecting them to look a little bit worse offensively, and they've also just played against each other, so there is some familiarity with the sets that the other team runs. I'm going to lean under. I find it interesting that they just played and the game landed 336, and this total's 223, when Charlotte was already missing anybody worth a damn on their teams. That hasn't exactly changed much. But since this total is so much lower than what the last meeting they just had landed, I think it's a bit trappy. I'm going to go with the under.
All right. I'm with you. I'm on under. I'm sticking to my teams playing back-to-back games, taking the under the second go around. They kind of figured things out a little bit more defensively. But especially if OG plays. If OG doesn't play, then I probably will stay away. All right, Scott, what you like?
He's not going to play, right? I mean, you're favored by 14. They're not going to rush him back.
They don't have to. But, it's still, well, I think Gary Trent, at the very least, Gary Trent plays because he's missed a lot of time over the past some while. So, all right, Scott, what do you like prop-wise?
So I mentioned Van Vliet double-double. It's tough to go against the guy that had 20 assists in the last meeting. Besides that, whichever starting center for Charlotte, I'll take the double-double because that's just been a great option no matter who you take. So I'll wait to see who the starting center is, take the double-double because even though Pirtle is good defensively, you're looking at Charlotte's offense and the lack of any option that they have. They're going to force feed some guys in the paint every now and then just because they endlessly spam pick and rolls and they hope that they can get something. We saw Maladon have 14 assists from it, basically. So whichever center for Charlotte is getting the start, I'll take him double-double. I mentioned Van Vliet. I thought about maybe Pirtle rebounds because they're against Charlotte, so you can make an argument that the centers just clean up on the glass in this game. But it's tough to fully pick a props for Toronto because they could win by blowout and they might just end up having a minute restriction based on just resting some guys late. So I'm kind of staying away from most, but I would look for the Van Vliet double-double, and I'd also would look for Mark Williams or whoever's starting for Charlotte double-double.
All right, Delonte.
Yeah, I don't like any props in this game simply because too wide of a variance. I think the Raptors can beat them by 25, 30, and those guys are sitting by the end of the third quarter. So Scott brought up some interesting ones, especially with the Hornets bigs, but like he said, you never know who's going to play. So I'll probably be passing on the player props in this matchup.
Well, you're going to know. You just don't know now. Charlotte usually announces which centers are not going to play, and you can infer where the minutes will get distributed from there.
So if we going off of history of what this rotation has looked like, Kai Jones has played, I think, the last 3 games. So it sounds like that Kai Jones, and with Mark Williams being probable, it sounds like Kai Jones is going to be the one out.
Yeah.
And Nick Richards gets to start with Mark Williams coming off the bench because Mark Williams has started the last game as well. So if he continues this rotation, I think Kai Jones is the odd one out, with Nick Richards probably being the starter today.
Do you think it's weird Van Vliet double-doubles like plus 125 when he literally had a 20-20 game against the same team a couple days ago?
Not really.
Just because of game flow? Or you just
maybe just factor in the game flow,
Yeah, and I think the game's gonna be different this go around too. So I'm just gonna go back to Jakob Poeltl. I think Jakob Poeltl still, like, even with Williams, Richards, Jones, whatever 3 that is going to be, likely Richards and Williams, I think Jakob Poeltl still can be able to get on the inside. He had 16 last time. I think he'll still be able to have a little bit of a role in this offense of just getting some easy buckets on the inside or some putbacks or anything like that, being clean up on the glass. So I'm gonna go with Jakob Poeltl. I'm gonna take his points over 14.5 minus 130. He had 16 last game. I think that's something that, of everything that's not going to repeat, I think this is one of those things that will. So Jakob Poeltl over 14.5. All right. Next. No, before we get to the next game, I got to talk to you one more time and get us paid with Sword Vitality, because you can unsheath your sword and have it sharper than ever with Sword Vitality. Look, if you're having problems with impotence, don't be concerned, because 40% of men are affected by it by age 40 and nearly 70% by age 70. Stop buying those suspect weird gas station rhino pills or anything like that. No more trying to hide pills around, making sure that your lady doesn't find them and know your issues. You take care of your Manscaped. Take care of your sword too with Sword Vitality. Increase your blood flow, thrive as a man, and increase your stamina for the Minutemen out there. You don't got to hide it. Be proud. SwordVitality.com. Use promo code SGPN for a nice discount at checkout. That is SwordVitality.com. Promo code SGPN. Unsheath your sword. And we're also brought to you by the Golf Gambling Podcast's tailor-made driver contest, completely free to enter, and you have a chance to win a awesome tailor-made driver. All you have to do is go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/driver. They will be giving it out on Sunday, April 8th. That is sportsgamblingpodcast.com/driver for that contest. All right, let's move on. Next game of the slate here. We have 11 to go. The Milwaukee Bucks are playing the Washington Wizards. Bucks opened up as a 12-point favorite. They are now a 13-point favorite on the road. 230.5 is the total. That's come up a point. Injury report for these two teams. And for the Milwaukee Bucks, we have Chris Middleton, who is out due to injury management. Grayson Allen is out because of ankle injury. Javon Carter is probable with the knee, and Miles Leonard is probable with the calf. And for the Washington Wizards, Bradley Beal, Kyle Kuzma, Kristaps Porzingis, and Monte Morris are all out. That is 4 of their 5 primary starters. You are looking at a potential lineup of DeLon Wright, Johnny Davis, Corey Kispert, Denny Avdia, and Daniel Gafford. Hoo-wee. All right. Scott, I'm going to come over to you. Laying 13 with the Bucks, but look at this lineup for the Wizards.
Yeah, it's not pretty. If Milwaukee chooses to show up for this game just mentally, they should win this game comfortably. However, if you look at the head-to-head numbers this season, Washington's actually given some problems to Milwaukee, but I'm not sure if that matters because Washington basically has none of its usual players playing in this game. Like maybe 1 or 2 with Porzingis, but for the most part, Kuzma's still out, Beal is still out, and Beal did have 33 points last meeting. But I am looking at the schedule for Milwaukee because the main concern you have for some of these top-seeded teams, will they actually care against the bottom feeders? Because they just had 2 games against Boston and Philly. And looking at the schedule here for Milwaukee, they have a matchup against Chicago and Memphis up next. So Milwaukee should care in this game. I think I'd rather just take a player prop and go Giannis over in points because I believe he's had a 50-piece against this team earlier this year, and he's really just killed Washington. I think I'd rather just look for an actual player prop approach for this game. You might hear that a lot from me this episode, but I don't really feel great about laying double digits on the road in the NBA. So I guess I'm leaning Milwaukee, but I'm not going to really feel comfortable laying it. So give me Giannis over in points, especially with Middleton being out. I think Giannis goes for another 35-plus point game.
All right. Lance, what do you like?
Yeah, I'm probably with Scott here. I'll lean to the Bucks. The Bucks usually bury bad teams. The only thing the Wizards have going for I do like a couple of the younger guys that they're playing is Kispert and Denny Avdia. I mean, outside of those 2 guys, I mean, it's not much there. So, like Scott said, if the Bucks wanted to, they should win by 20, 25, but they should be still motivated. I mean, Boston's not too far behind them. They still can get to 60 wins. So it's a lot of, interior motivation for them to come out and play well. But I can't lay double digits. You don't make money laying double digits in the NBA. But if I had to, I guess I would lean that way. The Wizards just don't have much outside of Kispert and Avdia. So maybe a Bucks team total is probably a better bet. And the over. I would probably play the over. The Wizards have been playing at a faster pace as of late. Milwaukee's defense has been slipping a little. They've allowed 120 in 3 of the last 5 games. Now, some of that is opponent-based. Obviously, they don't have the skill set offensively. The Wizards don't to give the Bucks problems, but they still play at a faster pace. So, faster pace, bigger variance. I like the over more than like anything in the game.
All right. Let's see here. I'm just making sure I have this number correct. And I believe I do. If I don't, oh well. 2 and 3 in terms of a double-digit spread against the spread are the Milwaukee Bucks on the road. 2 and 3. Houston is in that group. The Pacers are in that group of teams that have covered this number at home against them. I really can't get past this lineup. Like, this lineup is real. And it takes a superhuman effort by one person to get this cover. But I'm not sure they get that effort out of anybody. Like Corey Kispert, we know how he get down. He'll be all right. We'll get a couple good games out of him and he'll disappear. Avdia, I think he doesn't have the right matchup this go around. I think that even coming off the bench for the Bucks, there's still some people that can. Like, I think the Bucks bench unit could actually go toe to toe with this starting unit, and so yeah, I'm gonna just roll with the Bucks. We'll talk about a double digit favorite that I want to fade next game, but I'll just go ahead and roll with the Bucks here. 230.5. Delonte, what do you like?
Yeah, I like the over. I was just alluding to the pace that the Wizards have been playing with since their top three guys have been out. And Bucks defensively, they haven't flipped it on as of yet. They're just pretty much going out and outscoring teams. But again, that was against higher competition offensively. So I still like the over here, especially if the Bucks get up big. The Wizards will probably try to claw back and shoot a lot of threes, especially the way Kisper's been shooting the ball. He's been shooting the hell out of the ball. So I like the over here.
Scott, you like the over too?
I'm going to lean over as well. I just think Giannis is such a freight train that Milwaukee could score 120 or Washington actually contributes. I'm going to go with the over in this game. And I think that Milwaukee, if they really show up focused, if I told you they were scoring 130, you probably wouldn't be surprised.
Wouldn't be surprised at all.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with the over.
Yeah, the very least, Milwaukee team total over. All right. Next. Oh, props. What props do you like, Scott?
Well, I mentioned Giannis. I see his points totals at 30.5, but that's because they think he might get benched in the fourth quarter.
I was about to say 30.5 is so conservative for Giannis.
That's so conservative, especially for, once again, a guy who had 55 against Washington earlier this year. I see Giannis triple-double is around 750. Of course, Washington was the team that he famously intentionally chucked the ball off the backboard to pick up a temporary triple-double that was later removed. But you're looking at his numbers, and he has done pretty well at rebounding and assisting against Washington. 23, 9, and 13, 55, 10, and 7, 33, 15, and 11, 29, 18, and 5, 23, 9, and 8, 31, 15, and 11, 33, 11, and 11. Those are Giannis's last couple games against Washington. I'm not sure if I like the 750 there, but with Middleton being out, Giannis should have the ball more. So I think either points or triple-double, I think one of them is going to hit. But can I see Giannis doing what he did against Indiana, which is basically just stat padding the entire first half against a bad team and getting a triple-double at some point in the third quarter? I can see that. So I do think Giannis is kind of on triple-double watch here. So I think that's where I'm going to lean, either Giannis points or Giannis triple-double.
All right. And Lance, what do you like?
Yeah, I think Brook Lopez has a big game here, depending on how much he plays. I know he's been dealing with a lot of injuries and lingering. So kind of been on his numbers have been like his minutes has been like up and down, but I think he'll go over his points and rebounds. That is at 24.5. I think he has a big night. I also like Portis to destroy 19.5 points and rebounds. I think he has a monster night against that second unit of the Wizards, who's pretty much they're undersized as a whole, but outside of Gafford, who fouls, probably be in foul trouble in the first 5 minutes, not much there for him. So I think Portis dominates on the inside, which also bodes well for Lopez to hit a few threes on the pick and roll. So I like both of those guys over points and rebounds.
All right, I'm going to go off the reservation a little bit. One, because I don't see my guy Bobby Portis up here listed. But last time that the Bucks had a really crazy blowout was at Utah. Pat Connaughton got 29 minutes, went 8 for 12 from the floor, 6 from 10 from 3, 22 minutes. He had 1 minute in that game on Sunday against the Philadelphia 76ers. If this gets out of hand, Pat Connaughton, I mean, you don't have Grayson Allen anymore, so you're already short on depth. Somebody's got to go play out there while the people that starters sitting. And Pat Connaughton could be one of those guys that just finds himself out there and he's getting easy open looks at the basket. He just starts firing them off and hitting them. So this is a complete gut call by me, but I'm going to just take Pat Connaughton today and say that he comes off the bench in garbage time and gives you anywhere from 10 to 15 points. All right. That is that for that game. Let's move on to the next game. Miami Heat are on the road going to play the Detroit Pistons. Heat are laying 13. 219 is the total.
Do you want to just end the breakdown there and just
No, we could, but I'm going to go ahead and give the people what they want. And for the Miami Heat, Bam Adebayo expects to play. Kyle Lowry is questionable. Nikola Jovic is out. And for the Pistons, Bagley is out with a concussion. Burks and Magruder are both still out with foot injuries.
What is Jovic out for? High school diploma?
I think that's what it is, honestly. But I mean, you can pretty much. That's it for the injury report. Everybody knows Stewart, Bogdanovich, Diallo, Cunningham, all that. I mean, is anybody here bold enough to lay 13 with the Heat? Just please go ahead so we can publicly shame you.
No.
Yeah.
All right, great.
Nah.
I'm glad that we are all on the same page about that. So, Detroit plus 13. You don't really question it. Don't ask no questions. You just let it happen. Detroit plus 13. Does anybody have anything on the total?
I probably lean under. I don't think either offense will have like a breakout game. What is the total exactly? I'm seeing
219.
yeah, so I can see both teams struggling to get to 100 here. I can see a 98, 97, 98, 95 type of game. So I'll lean to the under.
Scott.
I think I'm going to lean under as well. Each of the first two meetings this season did land exactly 212. And I know Miami's offense got going last game. That was against Dallas. I heard a rumor that the three of us might score 50 combined against Dallas's defense. So that doesn't really mean anything to me.
Absolutely.
I'm just going to go ahead and lean to the under. If I think Detroit's going to cover, I don't think they can afford to get into a shootout per se. But I do think that they can hang around with Miami because Miami's offense is really just hit or miss, usually miss. So I'm going to go with the under here. I think it's correlated, and I think Detroit hanging around means this game's probably ugly. So I'm going to lean under.
That's the same way that I'm thinking of it towards the under, and just saying that I'm not trusting Miami's offense to come out here and have an amazing game. Like they're too up and down, hit or miss for me. And whereas I know Detroit really is going to give me what Miami gives me. Like I think that whatever I project Miami to have, I think Detroit's going to give me just about the same thing, because I think that this is a no sweat cover here. So I'm going to go ahead and stick with the under, but because no, I don't think Detroit gets into a situation where they blow these guys out. Yeah, we're just going to stick with the under 219. But I think Miami's team total under is still a pretty solid play as well. All right. Prop wise for this game, Scott, what do you got?
I feel like I have to lean to Jimmy Butler anyway, just because Miami's running out of time to, in theory, have a miracle run to avoid the play-in. It's not going to happen. I think that they've given themselves too much of a bad start. The Nets have kind of woken up a little bit. There's a growing gap there between the 6 and the 7. I think Miami's a play-in team, but Butler did show up last game and he dropped about 35. So I'm hoping that he shows up because we think this game might be close, so Butler won't get benched or anything. Do you think Butler assists is kind of a sneaky play? Because he had a double-double with assists last game. But I know Butler in these big games down the stretch, I know I'm calling it a big game against Detroit because that's how bad Miami's been lately. But do you think Butler kind of just brings his A game here because it feels like he's going to have something to show in this game? And we know Adebayo, he's injured, so you might have to rely on Butler more. Hero hasn't exactly been great at shooting lately. Still a good player, but he hasn't shot well lately. I like Butler over, but I'm not sure in what capacity. And for the Pistons, we keep trying to have this game of musical chairs or guess the right rebounder. That's our second mini game that we're going to patent because we never guessed correctly.
You only got two options this time.
I was going to say we got two options, which helps. You have a favorite choice here because Bagley's out. Wiseman's going to be starting, so I guess you're leaning Wiseman, but Duren is a good rebounder too. One of them over. I also don't mind Jaden Ivey points and assists over. He's gotten a much bigger run with this team. Killian Hayes is just a bad basketball player, so I think they're going to let Ivey do what he wants. I like Ivey over here. I just think that the volume is going to be too large to ignore.
Yeah, if I had to go, I'd probably go Wiseman. And Duren, I mean, we'll see what they do. Duren, they might start Duren next to Wiseman, and with Bagley out, we'll see how they decide to play big in that lineup. But Duren, I see, is at a minus price for that 8.5. Wiseman's at a plus price. That's the only thing that really took me. I'll just take Wiseman over 8.5 at plus money. Delonte, what are you looking at?
Yeah, Scott pretty much laid it out for me with Ivy. I think he has a pretty good bounce back game. He was 4-14 last outing after playing pretty well in a March to putting the ball in his hands. Obviously, a lot more. Like you said, you never know who to trust with the bigs for the Pistons. One of them is going to have a good game. I mean, it's inevitable one of them has a good game, but I'll putting a lot of money on Jaden Ivey to have a bounce back game tonight. So I like his points and assists tonight with Scott.
What is Jimmy Butler to score? 30. Yeah, let's say 30. He had 35 last game. It's just if we really like if the Heat do what the Heat do, Jimmy's gonna be out there. And if Jimmy gets to the fourth quarter and this game is close, he's gonna drop like 10 to 14 points.
Yeah. No, that was my thought process behind Jimmy. But looking at the points here, Jimmy to score 30 is around plus 240.
Yeah, I feel like that's worth it. I think that's worth it. Everybody's asking about Bam. I mean,
Off an injury, I don't know how great I feel about this.
I'm not saying it. So I mean,
I gave out Bam double last time against the Knicks, and he scored 9 points. So I don't want to talk about it either.
Hey man, I like Bam.
I'm just saying, it was a good matchup, and he scored 9 points. He got the rebounds. He just couldn't score the damn basket in the basket. So, yeah, I got nothing on Bam.
You had the chance to give out Bam and didn't do it, so that shows how much you like Bam. All right, moving on to the next game.
9 points. 9 points. Give out a double, and he scored 9. I can't. I'm done. I tried.
The Minnesota Timberwolves are on the road to play the Brooklyn Nets. Timberwolves opened up as +1. They are now -2 favorite. 224.5 is the total. That total's come down 4 points. Injury report here for the Minnesota Timberwolves, and we have Karl Anthony Towns is questionable with the illness and a calf. Austin Rivers is questionable with the illness. Jalen Noel is questionable. Anthony Edwards is not on the injury report. So does that mean Anthony Edwards is the one that got everybody sick? Because it seems like the other two, the other two are still dealing with it, but it's good. So he must have been the patient zero for them.
Yeah.
For the Brooklyn Nets, clean injury report. Only person that's up there is redacted. So let's move over to Scott. You're catching 2 as a dog with the Nets at home.
So it is a pretty good get-up spot for Minnesota after losing outright as a 19.5-point favorites against the Trailblazers over the weekend, which is one of the biggest point spread upsets in modern NBA history. So you could look into it 2 ways. Either Minnesota brings their A game because they need to and they're going to be embarrassed over what happened, or Minnesota's bad. The Nets have played good basketball, and I want nothing to do with Minnesota with Naz Reid being out because they have no front court depth and Cat might not play. I'm going with option B. I'm going to go with the Nets. I think they've played good basketball lately. They almost choked away that massive game against Utah, but the Jazz are inevitable, so they're going to cover no matter what. So that kind of just happens. Minnesota's just bad. I mean, if you wanted a complete microcosm of what we don't like about Minnesota, I feel like losing as a 19.5-point favorites to a Portland team that's tanking is kind of a perfect summary of why we don't trust this team. And now Cat might not play, Reed's out, and Reed is such a good backup center. He's easily the best backup center in the league. I just have too many questions about Minnesota. You also mentioned that there's an illness going around with Minnesota, so I'm not sold on the current overall health of the overall team. I'm going to go with the Nets at home. I think that the Nets are the better team. They're in better form. And Minnesota, after losing to Portland, I'm not going to suddenly assume they show up for this game. I just think they're bad. So I'm going to go with the Nets.
All right, Lonzo.
Yeah, I'm on the complete opposite train. I think I want them because they lost to
That's what I'm saying. You can look at it either way. I'm going to look at it the other way.
Yeah, I don't blame you. But yeah, I like Minnesota. I think that illness was really ailing them with Ant-Man. Have you seen them on the bench? They were like out of it. Like I think Anthony Edwards had his hand in his face like for an entire timeout position. So
is that like Michael Jordan flu game towel situation?
Nah,
but instead of winning the game, they lose to the worst team in the league.
He was like vomiting during timeouts, all kind of stuff, man. I was reading all kind of stuff about him. But I mean, him being off the injury report is big for them. Whether Cat plays or not, I mean, I think he does play, but I don't think it matters. They're pretty well versed without him. I mean, they've been playing for 3 months without him, so they're pretty decent on the road. 19-20 ATS, so not bad, not horrible, but they are 24. Well, actually, they're not a dog. I made this whenever they were a dog, so I like the money coming in on Minnesota. I agree with it. I have Brooklyn and missed the playoffs. Probably going to lose that ticket, so I've been trying to get my money back on Minnesota. So I mean, I'll be trying to get my money back on Minnesota. So I'm going big here on Minnesota. Probably be one of my better plays on the card.
So I think what the tiebreaker, because both of these teams are literally like neck and neck in almost every single category over the past 5 games. So it's a clear why this is such a low spread. I think that the tiebreaker for me is, who do I feel like has the offensive talent that when it matters they can take the game over. And Cat being questionable really, really changes that. But I'm gonna roll with Mikal Bridges has been absolutely on fire since being with this team. And if it comes down to it, and I'm looking at the Mikal Bridges, I'm looking at the backcourt with Spencer Dinwiddie as well. Like, I think that I'm gonna bank on those players offensively rather than a compromise Karl Anthony Towns, a compromise Anthony Edwards, and then whatever else that they hope they get offensively from the rest of the team. So I'm gonna roll with the Nets here +2. But this is a really, really tough game. However, my favorite play here is on the total, and I'll take that under 224.5 every day of the week. I mean, both of these two teams, top 10 in every single defensive metric over the past 5 games: opponents' points per game, opponents' field goal percentage, opponents' 3-point percentage. Like, everything you look at in terms of how these two teams been playing defense, they've been really, really good. So that's by far my favorite play on this game. It's under 224.5. Delonte, what you say you?
I'm kind of torn on the total, to be honest. It's kind of dependent upon Towns, because I think that if Towns plays, I mean, I think Towns does play, just throwing it out, I think he does. And I think their offense is a lot better when he's there, simply because they can stretch out the floor and let Rudy just roam around in the paint so that he doesn't have to get switched off in a lot of pick and rolls. Now, they're going to try to switch him off in a lot of pick and rolls, but I think they can kind of disguise that in some junk zone that Mitch plays a lot. So I guess I would lean under with you, simply because of the defensive stature that Minnesota's been playing. I think the matchup between Bridges and McDaniels is going to be like pretty good. If he can limit Bridges to, a tough 25, like, him actually getting up like 24, 25 shots and just making it off sheer volume, I think that it stays way under. So I'm with you on the under here.
All right, Scott.
I think I'm going to lean over. I don't feel great about it, but it was just mentioned by Trevor. He thinks that Towns is going to play because Minnesota's still favored. I agree with that. I think Towns is probably going to play.
Is that Trevor Story, the second baseman, Scott? Is that his burner?
Not quite. No, there's no E in the last name.
That's his burner account.
To be fair, Trevor Story's injured again, so he does have some extra free time on his hands. So potentially.
Why not watch the NBA game on the podcast?
Yeah. Either way, point is, I do think that for the total, I'm going to lean over, because I do have some questions defensively for both teams. I still find a really weird Minnesota's favorite here. I don't get it. I think that the Nets getting points, or at least on the money line being at a plus money or even money at home, that's got to be how I look at it. I mean, I can't trust Minnesota. I can't at all. I don't like this team. If you look at them on the road this season, they are not exactly good either. The Nets haven't been great at home, but they've been better lately. I'm going to lean to the Nets. They're in better form once again. But for the total, I think I'm going to lean over, but assuming Cat plays, because if he doesn't play, my main pivot's going to be Kyle Anderson, double-double, or something involving Kyle Anderson, who is arguably my favorite role player in the league. But I'm going to lean to the Nets. I think it's a good spot.
Hey, real quick, do you have the the betting splits? I don't really pay attention to it, but I'm curious to see if the public is on.
The public is all over the Minnesota. 73% of the bets, 72% of the money is on the Minnesota Timberwolves tonight.
So how does that make sense? The Nets have a completely clean injury report. Anthony Edwards is recovering patient 0, but he got half the team sick. So Cat might not play. How the hell is 72% of the bets coming in on Minnesota? I don't understand. They just lost as 19.5-point favorites.
The money has to be there too, because I mean, public's not moving the line from 1 to 2.5. I mean, it's not a humongous move, but
I mean, I think that it's a little bit of I think that it's a little bit of theory that you just lost to Portland, you got to bounce back, but
That's a sign of how
Again,
bad they are.
these teams are in the play-in for a reason. Like, I want everybody to remember they are fighting for a play-in spot for a reason. So I don't know. I think I'm sticking with Brooklyn on this one.
I feel
think I'm
better
sticking
about
with Brooklyn.
spending my money on the Nets than the Timberwolves. I feel like it's simple as that.
Honestly, like, come on, we've been fading the Timberwolves all season, Scott. We got to keep going. Yeah, I'm good with it. I'm good with the Nets. All right, prop wise, Scott, what you like?
Well, I said if Cat doesn't play, I'm all over Anderson, either PRA or RA. I think he might have a double-double if Towns doesn't play. I would pick Gobert rebounds if I didn't have a personal vendetta against him for not rebounding earlier this season. But it is a very good matchup for Gobert on the boards. So you can take that. That might be the Bam treatment that Terrell has, but in my case, I'm just not going to give it out. But I do have to at least bring up Gobert rebounds because it's a good spot against Claxton. I like Claxton blocks. I mentioned this the last time these teams played. Gobert is going to try to hit a couple layups on Claxton for no reason because he thinks he's good at offense, and Claxton's going to punt each of them into the fifth row. It's what's going to happen. Like, I'm just telling you, it's going to happen. Give me Claxton over in blocks. I believe when I mentioned it the first time, Claxton finished with, I think, 4 in the first meeting.
I'm about to look right now.
I know he definitely went over when I brought it up, and he blocked Gobert like 3 times. It's going to happen. I'm going to be looking at Claxton blocks potentially. I know Cam Johnson's been on a bit of a hot streak recently, which is, a refreshing sight. He's a very streaky shooter. Maybe Cam Johnson threes because he has been shooting the ball a lot better after being horrible for the first month or so with
That's
him
where I
on
was
the
going
Nets.
with this one.
Cam Johnson threes, I think I have to mention.
Yeah, that's where I was going with this one. And just kind of that same theory I kind of had is, he's came out the Western Conference. He's seen Minnesota 4 times a year. And he can feel, a little bit more comfortable playing against Minnesota and a guy that they will overlook because Bridges is going to get all the attention. And so, yeah, I like Cam Johnson to have a pretty good day from behind the arc.
By the way, I looked it up. Claxton had 4 blocks in the first meeting.
Alonso.
2 props I like. Scott mentioned the Rudy prop. I like him 26.5 points and rebounds. Like you said, good matchup against Brooklyn. Doesn't rebound the ball well. He had 28 and 13 in the previous matchup. And in the last, 4 games, Brooklyn has allowed 4 players, 2 in the same game, to have 10 plus rebounds. So if he can get to 12, 13 rebounds, I'm pretty sure he can get to, 14 points off of just sheer putbacks and free throws. Also like Anthony Edwards, over 24.5 points. He hasn't played consistent in the past week due to, the illness that we spoke of. And for the first time, he's not on the injury report, so that means he's pretty much back healthy. He had 37 last outing. I think he has pretty much a repeat performance. Against the Nets defense has allowed 30-point guards to score at ease in the last 3 outings.
All right. Let's get one more game in before we move on to part 2. We have the Boston Celtics going to play the Philadelphia 76ers on national television. Philadelphia opened up as a 1-point favorite. They are now a 2-point favorite. 227.5 is the total. That's come down 5 points from 232.5. Injury report for these 2 teams. And we have for the Boston Celtics, Jaylen Brown is questionable. Robert Williams is out. Al Horford is not on the injury report. And for the 76ers, they are clean. Everybody's going to play. Scott, over to you. 76ers or Boston?
So I think the Celtics are clearly the better team. The question is, are the Sixers playing for anything right now? It feels like they're fully stuck into the 3. Can we agree they're not going to catch Milwaukee or Boston?
Yeah.
So is Philly going to take any of these games seriously besides potentially stat padding Embiid's MVP candidacy? But even with that being the case, they want to keep Embiid healthy. I know usually when you just have an immediate rematch and one team does perform well, you usually lean to the other side. But once again, I have to question Philly's motivation. Boston's clearly trying to get a 1 seed, and they have some life there. I think that they can potentially catch Milwaukee since they beat them by 40 last week. I'm going to lean Boston. Now, the injury report isn't fully clean for the Celtics. There are some rumors that I believe it was Jaylen Brown who might not play in this game. So just keep an eye on that. But Boston has done very well against Philly this season. Philly, despite being fully healthy, once again, I'm not sure if they fully care about this game because I really haven't been impressed by the current form that they're in, since it looks like they're kind of playing out the string with not much to actually, gain with any of these games, because I don't think they're going to catch Boston or Milwaukee. I'm going to lean Boston. I'm not sure Philly cares enough for me to back them as a dog here. Boston's on an upswing now. They're a very streaky team, but when they're right, they're arguably the best team in the league. I'm going to lean Boston here.
Delonte?
Yeah, I like Philly. Similar to what you said, Scott. I think that without Robert Williams in the lineup, because he's out, right, Real?
Yeah,
He is out.
Yeah, so they're a completely different team without him in the lineup. Embiid should be able to feast here. Boston's played a soft schedule outside of the Bucks in the past week. They've also dominated Philly. They won and covered in 4 straight. They've also won 3 of the last 5 games, covering 4 of the last 5. Won 4 of the last 5, covering 3 of those in general. But Philly's played a really tough 7 or 8 game stretch. Some of it with players, in and out of the lineup. They've only had 1 decent offensive performance in the last 4 meetings against Boston. So I think they'll be motivated to play well against a division rival. It's always good to, get a win over a division rival like Boston. So I think they'll be pretty motivated here. I do worry about Boston's defense without Robert Williams. That's the main thing. And I'm kind of worried about Harden's injury also, but Maxey will pick up the load here. So I like Philly at home with 25-14 ATS at home, 33-21 as a favorite. If fully healthy, I think Boston will probably be like a 1.5, 2-point favorite, to be honest. So I think Philly comes out. I think they dominate on the interior. I think Embiid has a pretty big night. He could go for 35 and 15, 35 and 16. So I like Philly a lot here in a big division game for him.
I realized that I misspoke before. For some reason, I thought they played recently. They did not. That was about a month ago. But the Celtics are 3-0 straight up, if that matters.
Yep.
All right. I'll make this super quick and handicap the entire game in like less than 60 seconds. Philly, lower bets, higher dollars, 73% of bets Boston, 57% of the money on Philly. Line movement in their favor. Philly -2 is the play. Slower pace, one of the slowest paced offenses in the game. They're going to continue to play slow pace. Joel Embiid is going for 40. So under 227.5, Joel Embiid, 40 plus points, plus 340. Tyrese Maxey, ladder is 3s. Tyrese Maxey at home has a big game coming off of the bench for Philly. They get the win and the cover. That's it. All right. What do y'all like for the rest of the game?
Harden double potentially. I don't like his points because I think Harden's looked bad. Then again, he did go over against Toronto, but I'm still not sold on Harden's current form. I do think at the end of the day, Harden, if you do like Embiid to have a big game anyway, but you maybe want a bit of insurance there, Harden's going to set him up the entire game. So if you want to go for a potential double option, Harden assists, I think is worth a look. Besides that, if Brown doesn't play, do you automatically just take Tatum because he's going to shoot the ball so much? Like Tatum's going to chuck it.
Yeah, Tatum's going to get his regardless.
But I'm saying even if that is true, if Brown's out, we know Tatum's going to get even more usage. So I maybe would consider Tatum.
Yeah. That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, 2 props I love. Maxey over 20.5. He's over in 8 of the last 9. He's been efficient in all spots of the floor. He had 14 points combined in the 2 meetings this season. Boston is a little more prone to giving up mid-range jumpers. They're 29th in long mid-range jumpers, and that's where Maxey likes to operate off the pick and roll. I think the guys in the chat and also Scott spoke on Harden under 19.5 points. If you like anything with Harden, I would pivot to his assist. The Achilles injury is probably a bigger deal than what's being reported. Eye test-wise, I mean, you can pretty much see he doesn't have any burst of what little he did have left. Yeah. He's been a lot more prone to like setting up teammates and settling for jumpers. Basically, to put it in perspective with Harden, he's only been to the free throw line over 5 times twice in the last 8 games. And he's also under this point total in 7 of the last 9 games. So Celtics on-ball defense pretty much will turn him into a distributor rather than a scorer. So if you play like anything with Harden, I like under 19.5 and over 10.5 assists. You can get plus money on the 10.5 assists also.
All right. that is it for part 1 of the NBA Gambling Podcast. Audio version, slide over to part 2. YouTube will be right here and go to part 2. And we're back with part 2 of the NBA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. We are moving down this 13-game slate. We've got about 7 more games to go. Next game up is in the Big Easy. The New Orleans Pelicans are playing the Sacramento Kings. Pelicans are laying 4, open up as 1.5-point favorites. They're now laying 4. 236.5 is the total in this one. Injury report for these two teams, and for the New Orleans Pelicans, we have. Oh wait, where did you guys go? There we go. Jose Alvarado and Zion Williamson are still expected to miss this game. They are not looking like they're going to return anytime soon. So pretty clean for them in terms of what they've been playing with. And for the Sacramento Kings, Malik Monk is questionable. And that's about it. All right. Scott, I'm going to throw it over to you. Who do you like here in Kings versus Pelicans?
So I'm going to go with the Pelicans in this one. The Kings are a team that clinched a playoff spot. Good for them. The problem is, A, they have not exactly played well lately. And B, I just roasted Philly for potentially not having any motivation because they're basically stuck in their current seeding. I don't think the Kings have much motivation either. They're not going to catch Memphis. They're going to be the 3 seed. It is what it is. You might see some teams starting to potentially tank some games late in the season so they intentionally get Sacramento in the first round, but that's a separate story. Sacramento's stuck in the 3 as far as I'm concerned, and New Orleans is in the play-in, or they're fighting out of the play-in, or with the Western Conference standings, I mean, you can move up 3 spots in a day. So I'm going to go with New Orleans here. They're very good at home. They played good basketball lately. Mostly Ingram, who's been an absolute lunatic the last couple games. He's been great. I'm going to take New Orleans, very good home team that's playing well against the Kings team that lost to the Spurs as double-digit favorites last game at home. So the 2 games before that, they played Portland twice. So they're not Minnesota bad, but they're not, that's not exactly an impressive group of wins there. Give me New Orleans. I just think they want it more, as cliche as that sounds.
All right, Lante.
Yeah, I'll push back a little on the motivation thing, because if they lose out, which is quite possible with the schedule they have, they can drop down to the 4 seed and also lose the division title to the Suns. Suns have a easier schedule. The Kings, after this game, they play. So basically, they have 4 games left.
For the record, the Kings are 4 up on the Suns right now.
Don't the Suns have the tiebreaker?
I believe so, but I'm just saying, technically, the Suns are 4 games back.
So if they, I guess maybe so. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, I guess that's right. But still, I'm pretty sure they want to play well. They're not far back from the Kings. From the Memphis Grizzlies also, who had a horrible loss over the weekend. But I think Sacramento comes to play here. They're one of the only teams in the West to have a winning record on the road. They're 25-13 ATS on the road also. 24-14 straight up. Denver and the Clippers are at 500 on the road, but they're the only team in the West to have a winning record. They're 5 in the East that has a winning record on the road, but that just goes to show, offense travels. So I think the Pelicans are maybe a little bit overvalued here. They have covered 7 of the last 10, including 4 or 5. I think matchup-wise and stylistically, I think the Kings can be able to score at ease. Defensively, it's always a worry with defense with the Kings, but outside of Ingram, they haven't had much success. They've had lows, and I think the Kings can outscore them here. So I like the Kings, similar to a handicap of the Wolves game. I think that loss to the Spurs is kind of lingering over their heads. So I like the Kings plus the points here.
Okay. All right. I'm breaking the tie. I am going to go with the team that I feel like has looked better at home, and that's going to be New Orleans. And I think that, yes, the motivation factor is there. You have that aspect. I think that they have an opportunity to really, really limit Domantas Sabonis impact in this game with a strong performance by Jonas Valanciunas on the boards here. Give them extra possessions. Brandon Ingram's been playing like a man possessed recently. CJ McCollum actually looks like he's getting healthier with that hand injury that's been bothering him over the course of the year. And ultimately, I'm going to go with the team that I can expect to play some type of defense in this game. I don't know what defensive effort I'm getting at all whatsoever versus with the Sacramento Kings, but I know for a fact that at the very least, I have Herb Jones and Dyson Daniels for New Orleans, and that's 2 more than I'm getting for this Sacramento Kings. So I'm going to roll with the Pelicans here at home, -4. But
by the way, I don't know if you heard breaking news with the Pelicans. There is still no timetable for Zion Williamson's return.
oh, wow.
So there you go.
All right. Totals at 236.5.
Does anyone want to make a case for the under?
I do, kind of.
New Orleans defense has been good, but
yeah,
you like the Kings, so that's why
they're the top defensive team in the over the last 10 games, defensive rating wise. First, they defended 3 well, first in defending the 3, so the Kings could have some trouble making threes. I think the Kings are pretty much going to go inside because that's where their advantage lies. Pelicans horrible at the rim, 30 at the rim percentage defense. So I think a lot of pick and rolls and a lot of attacking the basket is going to be the game plan. And I mean, the Kings, they could try to outscore the Pelicans because I mean, the Pelicans offensively, they don't have a lot of offensive firepower. It's just that, like you said, like both of you guys said, Ingram's just been playing at another level. 3 of the last 5 for Sacramento went under. 7 of the last 10 for the Pelicans that went under. So I mean, I can make a case for it. I'll probably be on it to be honest. What is it? Let's see.
It's 236.5. I'll make it easy. Just give me Pelicans team total over.
Yeah, that was what I was gonna do.
Like, I'll just make it easy. Give me the last 3. No, yeah. So the last 4 matchups, they have that 108 in Sacramento. Then they have 130, and I think that was off a back-to-back, honestly. And then they have 136, 123, 125. Like they put up points against this team. This Kings team isn't playing defense at all. If the Kings are in it,
3 in regulation to San Antonio before over. So they get 142 like, combined.
I'm good. If the Kings are in it, they're probably scoring points. I'll take New Orleans team total over. I think that's going to happen. I can't see too many scenarios where New Orleans doesn't get over. What is it? 117.
Yeah, I like New Orleans over in that. And I do think that one difficult situation that Sacramento might run into, I know Fox is still a very good player. I'm assuming New Orleans is just going to throw Herb Jones on him and tell him make his life miserable the entire game. I kind of like the fact that New Orleans does have a very good on-ball defender that it could maybe somewhat keep up with Fox. It's almost impossible to fully keep up with him, but if you can limit him to some degree, I'm not sure the Kings have any good backup options to actually like pick up the scoring load because Fox is their main closer. I think Herb Jones will have a big defensive game, at least impact-wise. And if that's the case, I'm concerned about the Kings being able to overcome a potentially mediocre shooting night from Fox.
All right. Delonte.
We're talking about props?
Yeah.
We just went up. Yeah, I like Keegan Murray. I think it's a big Keegan Murray game. Him and Trey Murphy, similar skill set. I think he'll be matched up with him on the most part. So I like Keegan Murray over. Let's see. I like him over his threes also. His point total is at 12.5. So I like that. Probably try to get it up to 15 plus. He hits 3 or 4 threes here. Also like Kevin Huerter over 3.5 rebounds. Like I said earlier, the Pelicans, they don't rebound the ball well, specifically at the guard spot. Huerter's over this in 4 of the last 6 games, so I think he has another decent night on the boards.
All right. For myself, I am going to go with when I get a line. And that last game I was talking about was not a back-to-back, so the Pelicans just didn't score that go-around. I'm going with, is that his? No, that's the rebounds prop. I don't want the rebounds prop. I want the points prop. Where is his points prop? There we go. Over 15.5 points for Jonas Valanciunas. I think he is the X factor in this game in terms of getting some really good production against Sabonis here, who not really, the best defender. He had 19 in the previous matchup on the road. And in that blowout at home against the Pelicans, he had how much? No, he didn't play in that game, did he? No, he didn't even play in that blowout game. So he has 19 against them this season. I think that it's an opportunity where he likes to work in the post, and CJ McCollum likes to feed him in the post, and he calls for it. They give it to him, and he goes to work. So I like Jonas Valanciunas to have a really good day points wise, 15.5. All right. I think that's enough of that game. Let's move on to Chicago because they are welcoming the Atlanta Hawks in essentially what is basically like commanding position to be in the play-in if you win this game. Chicago opened up as a -1.5 point favorite. They are now at -3.5. 235 is the total injury report for these two teams. And we have here for the Chicago Bulls, Javonte Green and Alex Caruso are both probable. For the Atlanta Hawks, Trae Young is questionable with the illness, and DeAndre Hunter is still out. So, Delonte, the Hawks are a 3.5 point road favorite coming off of that win at home against Dallas. What are you doing here?
Yeah, I probably just lay it with the Bulls or nothing. I don't trust Atlanta, especially after that performance they put up against Dallas. They had Dallas buried. They let Dallas come back. They failed to cover 3 straight games. That is Atlanta. Inconsistency on both ends. I actually kind of like them better if Trae's not even on the floor, especially in this matchup. They've allowed 120 plus in 4 of the last 5 games. 3 of the last 5 have went under, but the totals have been mid to high 240s. So if Chicago can keep them out of transition and put them in the half court, I think they'll be able to do something here. Chicago's covered 7 of the last 10, 21 ATS at home. They're excellent in the half court and transition as far as offense, top 10 in points per possession on both sides of that. So I think the matchup favors Chicago here. I don't know if I trust them fully. I'll probably just bet a money line rather than laying the point. But I like Chicago to get a win here. I just don't know if they can win by margin.
All right, Scott, I'm about to come right back to you in a second, but I got to get us paid really quick and talk about Shady Rays and their independent sunglass company that offers a world-class product. They have insane protection of all their eyewear, where even if you lose or break your pair on day one, they will send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. Go to shadyrays.com, use promo code SGPN for 50% off and 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. That's shadyrays.com, promo code SGPN. All right, Scott, let's get back to you on the Atlanta Hawks and the Chicago Bulls.
So I think for this one, I'm going to take the Bulls. Simply put, the Hawks, congratulations on beating the Mavericks at home. I'm proud of you guys. You know, Charlotte was able to beat Dallas twice. You needed overtime, but I'm happy for you. I still don't like how the Hawks have played. Trae has been horrible from the floor, and he might not play, but I think they might want him to not play, to be honest. I know that's going to sound harsh because he has had a double-double in 3 of the last 4 games, but I got to read off these shooting numbers for Trae. 33.3% against Dallas, 25% against Brooklyn, 26% against Cleveland. He's made 0 threes in the last 2 games, but he's going to keep shooting them because he obviously is going to keep shooting them. I can't take Atlanta because Trae really has lost his shooting touch and now he's battling an illness, so I hope he suits up because I like Chicago. But Chicago at home, they've played better lately, and Atlanta can't guard anybody, and Trae forgot how to shoot. So I'm going to go with Chicago here. I really, really want to see Beverly trash talk Trae if he breaks his 5th 30-plus foot three-pointer, and I really want to see that matchup with the trash talking, but I'm going to go Chicago at home here. With Trae Young being this bad with his shooting efficiency, I can't back them on the road. And we know Atlanta has never really been a good road team. They're always better at home than on the road. Give me Chicago.
Yeah, so, and this is the thing that's been over the past couple of years, not only just the road trend, but the fact that when Atlanta are dogs, it's either they win outright or they don't cover this number at all. There's not too many times that you see Atlanta cover the number and not get the win as a dog. So if you do like Atlanta, then you just like them on the money line. However, here, I'm never telling you to just bet the money line on Atlanta to go win the game on the road, unless we're talking about Minnesota, and that didn't even turn out right. Thank you a lot, Atlanta. So 17-22 against the spread on the road, 16-23 straight up. I think that this is a really, really pivotal game, like a very, very pivotal game. in terms of the play-in race. And I'm just going to go with the team that I feel is a little bit more desperate, and the team that looks like that they're trying to turn a corner since that Lakers game and play better basketball. So, I mean, a commanding 30-point win against Charlotte, you're supposed to do that. When you play Charlotte, you beat them by 30. And then the resiliency that they had against the Timberwolves to go down 20 plus points and be able to come back and win that game by 20 plus. So I absolutely like the Chicago Bulls here. I think they're playing the better ball, and this is the on off that we've had with Atlanta. Like they're a 500 ball club, and they're going to win one, they're going to lose one. That's what normally happens over the majority of the season. So Atlanta also has not covered the last 4 games. So I'm on the Bulls here. Bulls -3.5. Total sitting at 235. Scott, how do you want to play that?
So looking at the overall meetings this season, you have seen a decent amount of points. Just to look at the meetings here, first one went to overtime. Actually, the first meeting was high scoring, the other 2 were low scoring. But even the high scoring one went to overtime. I'm going to lean under in this one, mostly because I don't know if Trey is going to just straight up shoot them out of the game because he's been that bad from the floor. Atlanta had a high-scoring game against Dallas, but Dallas is in their own separate category on just inept defenses. Well, Chicago's been good defensively. They have 107 in Memphis, crazy second-half comeback there, 91 to Charlotte, couple bad games defensively against the Lakers and the Clippers before that. But you're looking at the last 2 head-to-head meetings, landed below 220, actually landed below 219. I think 235 is a little bit high with Trey battling an illness. And with the game so meaningful, I'm going to lean to the under here. This number just feels a little bit high. I thought about the over, but then I looked at the head-to-head numbers. I think this game probably finishes somewhere in the high 220s, low 230s. So a bit of a sweat there, but I think you'll get an ugly fourth quarter with 2 teams that kind of need this game. I'm going to go with the under.
All right, Delonte.
Yeah, I like that play a lot. I think the Bulls. I think naturally, if you like the Bulls, you have to like the under because it's gonna be played at their pace if they win the game. The Hawks, like I said, they like to get out in transition. The Bulls can limit that, and I don't think the Bulls offensively are as good as they should be. I'll say that. It seems like that DeRozan and Levine just can't put together consecutive games of them playing well at the same exact time. It's either one or the other, or another like Vucevic or somebody. They all can't put together a consistency is basically what I'm trying to say. So I think the Bulls will play the game at their pace. I think they'll control the clock. They'll control the glass to a certain degree. So I like the under here.
All right. If you think this game goes over, it's because Chicago scores 130 on them. Mm-hmm. I am going to co-sign you with the under, and I will take it a little step forward and give out an Atlanta team total under 116.5. Bulls have been playing better defense recently, and you look at what they did to Memphis, who is a better, even in what they are right now, and what I think is a team that's not playing well. They are a much better team offensively, and they held them to 107. Charlotte 91. If you hold any NBA team to 91, you're getting your props. So I like that. Couple of hiccups with the Lakers and the Clippers, but that Lakers was the second time out after they just held them to 108. So 3 of the last 5, I think that Chicago, this is a better uptick for their defense. We get the under 116.5 for Atlanta here. All right. Prop wise, Delonte, what are you looking at?
Yeah, I'm going with my North Carolina brethren. Kobe White over 11.5 points. He's over in 6 of the last 9. He's been shooting the ball extremely well. He provides a little bit more offense, a lot more offense than Beverly, which is why Beverly's numbers or minutes has been going down in crunch time. So he's been out there with the closing unit with DeRozan and Levine. He also can play point guard, which he did at North Carolina. So that allows the pressure to come off of Levine and DeRozan as far as ball handling duty, so they can get in their spots. The Hawks defense have allowed 4 backup point guards to score 13 or more points in the last 5 games. So I think that bodes well for Kobe White to have a 15, 16 point performance here. Another number that I thought was extremely low was Bogdan over 10.5 points. He's over this in 11. He's over this in 11 of the last 13. Noah Hunter again, so that just increases his usage and his playing time. He's been shooting the ball pretty well from deep. He probably get a lot of open looks from the dribble drives that DeJounte does, and if Trey plays. So I think that number is way, way short. That's probably one of my top 3 plays on the board today. Bogdan over 10.5 points.
All right, Scott.
So my main play that I'm tempted by, I don't see a number available because they're waiting to see if Trey's going to play, and as a result, you can't exactly find Hawks props for some players. I like DeJounte over. I'm not sure what the exact line's going to be, but DeJounte scored at least 20 points in 5 of the last 6 games. He's had at least 25 in 2 of the last 3. And we just talked about it. Trae Young's had an issue shooting. He's also sick. And I do think that DeJounte has really excelled over the last couple of weeks scoring the basketball. I like DeJounte over in points because of the uncertainty surrounding Trae, either with his status or just him not being able to shoot the damn ball. So give me DeJounte over. I think he's going to play well today. And Beverly's probably going to get matched up on. Oh, then again, they also have Caruso. So yeah, I mean they're both good defensive players. So I'm going to go with DeJounte though. I like what I've seen lately from him.
All right. I wouldn't say it's that far off the reservation. Andre Drummond over 5.5 rebounds at -104.
Okay.
So he had 7 minutes in the last game. Okay, bet. In those 7 minutes, he still had 3 rebounds. All right. Let's look at these 5 games prior to last game. 14 minutes, 14 minutes, 18 minutes, 13 minutes, 17 minutes, 11, 8, 8, 8, 12. If he gets the minutes, he's getting the rebounds, especially against the Okongwu. Okongwu. So I like the Andre Drummond to be able to get it done here on the boards over 5.5. If they're foolish enough to allow me to ladder that, I will ladder that. But I think that's one of my favorite plays of the day is if he gets the minutes, he's getting the boards. So over 5.5 at -104 is a gracious price.
Just to read off his numbers in the season meeting so far, they've played 3 times. The last meeting, Drummond only played 3 minutes. I'm not sure why. Second to last meeting, played 15 minutes, had 11 rebounds. Meeting before that had 16 minutes and 9 rebounds.
It's if he gets the minutes, he's killing them on boards.
Even if he doesn't, I mean, he had 13 minutes at 11 boards, 14 minutes, 8 boards, 17 minutes, 8 boards, 12 minutes, 8 boards, 16 minutes, 12 boards. That's like 5 of the last 6 games. So I like that play a lot.
I just said. Literally the stats I just dropped.
No, I'm just saying like that was the stats you just. I thought you were reading off. I thought you were reading off his.
I literally just said those exact same stats.
Oh really? Damn, where was I at?
Like what? I'm sitting here like I know he's not reading the exact same thing I just said.
No, damn.
I get it though. It is a really good stat. I think Drummond. It's a really good look for Drummond today. So that's one of my favorite plays of the day. I'll be on Andre Drummond to get it done over 5.5 boards. If I can find adjusted prices and juice them up, I will be looking to do that.
Terrell, I don't know what you think, but I think that if Drummond gets the minutes, he should go over this number.
There we go.
Oh wow! I have no idea.
Make it a 3.
I didn't think of that at all.
Yeah.
All right.
I must have zoned out.
Like what? I'm like, bro, is he really about to say? Okay. The Denver Nuggets are going to Houston to play Houston Rockets. Nuggets are laying 9. Open up as 11-point favorite. They're now down to 9. 230.5 is the total. Injury report here, and for the Denver Nuggets, Jokic is questionable. Jamal Murray is probable. And for the Houston Rockets, I have Deshaun Tate is out. All right. It moved down 2 points. I guess that's saying that this questionable for Jokic is looking more like a doubtful.
Well, they bought him an extra game because they beat Golden State. So
yeah,
they didn't lose any ground in the standings, and, they might be able to beat Houston without him anyway. I'm assuming Jokic is not going to play.
What's the injury designation for Jokic? Is it his calf?
Calf. It's the calf.
He's got MVP runner-up-itis. So
yeah, that's what I low-key think it is, but I ain't want to say that because people would have said I'm hating on Jokic. But I mean, at this point,
he's not winning the MVP. He's missing too many games down the stretch. It's not gonna
happen. And he doesn't have anything to play for.
Him and Embiid, don't they have somewhat of the same games played? Because Embiid don't know Mr. Stretch.
Yeah, no, they do. But my point is, since people thought they were neck and neck in the first place, and Jokic is not playing much in the final couple weeks, he is not exactly putting his best foot forward. Truth is, Giannis might sneak in and win this damn thing based on how the last couple of weeks have gone. But it's a possibility. Just saying. But the point is, Jokic, based on how
Kendrick Perkins did say he's submitting his vote for Giannis. He already did go on there and say that he's submitting his vote.
Yeah, Kevin O'Connor did too. Said Giannis is his number 1.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
he
2
also said
picks.
Killian Hayes was the number 1 prospect in that draft class. So that's
I mean, hindsight 2020 though.
I'm just saying, I don't mind KOC, but that's like an all-time cold take, picking Killian Hayes to be the number 1 draft pick and him being Killian Hayes. That's kind of
Yeah.
a problem. But
So-
anyway, the point is, Jokic, he said beforehand he doesn't care about winning MVP. I kind of believe him, to be honest, just because the fact that he's not
He's
staying
got 2 in a row.
That's what I'm saying.
I
So
don't believe him.
Jokic only cares about the playoffs. I don't think he's going to play much down the stretch. So I think he's going to be basically eliminated indirectly from MVP contention, but he's not going to play.
You can't, but what you cannot do is you cannot not play these games and then not have a good run in the playoffs. That is what can absolutely not happen. So if you're
But
getting,
it makes sense to prioritize.
yeah, it does. And if you're getting the rest, Jokic, just make sure you're good in the playoffs, because you cannot be bad in the playoffs and give up, your chance at MVP too. That's gonna really, really suck. So I'm just gonna assume we're all on Houston +9 here.
I'm probably gonna pass.
Do you want to make a case for that, or just because you think Jokic is not going to play, so might as well jump in now?
And just the fact of, one, we still all agree that this Nuggets team without Jokic is probably one of the worst teams in the league. But we also agree that there was a get up spot for Golden State. Almost that is the main reason that Jokic is getting MVP looks, is because you look at every single metric of this team and they're close to the bottom when Jokic
the on-off numbers are insane with Jokic.
So I mean, they had their get up moment for Golden State. So you're gonna go get up for a game at Golden State and then go and get up again and give me 4 good quarters of basketball versus the Rockets on the road
after getting wasted at the national championship game last night?
I don't think so.
With horrible seats. You see those seats that they had?
No, I didn't.
Check that out when you get a chance.
Wait, who was getting wasted at the championship game?
The Nuggets team was there last night. They were at the championship game. Jamal Murray had posted something. He's like, they're in like the nosebleeds. Like, I'll send it to you.
I'm trying to think if anybody on that team actually went to Connecticut.
I mean, hey, somebody could have went to San Diego State. And nobody did.
There's not many players.
Nobody did.
That's what I'm saying.
But they could have.
But they were at a few of them were at the game last night watching. So they're probably not taking them as serious, obviously.
Yeah. All right. This is Rockets or bust for me. This is a letdown spot. Totals at 230.5.
I'm probably
going to.
No, go ahead, Scott.
Nah, while y'all think about, I'll give y'all a second to think about that, because I definitely forgot to get us paid by Sword Vitality. Because, man, looky here. If you're having issues with impotence, it's okay. It happens to a lot of people. But you don't have to have a dull sword. You can have a sharp, pointy sword that can go toe-to-toe with anybody, and all you got to do is stop trusting the gas station pills and log into Sword Vitality and get you something that is going to help you, 1, last longer, 2, improve the drive. You're going, like, come on. So don't go out there with the freaking LARPing cardboard sword. No. Get you a scythe. Get you something that is gonna go, and Sword Vitality is gonna make sure you're there. Visit swordvitality.com. Use promo code SGPN for a nice discount at checkout. That's swordvitality.com, promo code SGPN. Unsheath your sword. All right, Scott, I'll let you go ahead and talk to your thought process on this 230.5.
So I think I'm going to lean under. I have a hard time judging anything based on the first 3 meetings because Jokic is probably not going to play, and it throws a wrench in everything. Golden State can't guard anybody, especially on the road, and Denver only scored 112. I'm going to look at the under here. I think it'll be a lower scoring game. I like Houston on the money line in this game. I think Denver had their get-up game against Golden State. I think they're going to completely no-show this game. I think Houston has a great chance to win it. Which says a lot because I just say Houston has a great chance to win a basketball game, which doesn't happen that often. I like the spot for the Rockets. I think that Jokic is going to be out, and I think that we saw, especially down the stretch of that Warriors game, the Nuggets did enough to hold on, barely. They basically did everything they could to lose the game, but Klay missed a couple threes at the end. I'm going to go with the Rockets, and I'm going to go with the under. I just think Denver's going to have an uglier game than people anticipate. Delonte mentioned that they were at the championship game with some bad seats, so they might have been drinking some frustrations because they couldn't see the game. I'm going to go with the under and the Rockets in this spot.
All right, Latte.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I'll probably be on the under also with Scott. I don't think that they'll be revved up offensively to put on a performance against a team who's probably in tank mode, has been in tank mode for the longest of anybody in the Western Conference other than the Spurs. So I won't bear repeating what Scott said. I did that enough today already, so I'll just go with the under.
Yeah. I don't really have any thoughts. I'll go under with y'all. My thoughts here are, and I'm waiting for these idiots to stop being scared and give me the number that I so desperately want to see. But great value Jokic is playing with Jokic. Probably not. Oh, wow. Ha ha. Great value Jokic is playing with Jokic on the sideline watching this game more than likely. Or Jokic could potentially be playing in this game. Either way, I still like it. Give me Şengün double-double at plus 140. His triple-double is at 90 to 1 right now.
90?
90 to 1.
I feel
right
like his
now.
assists have been horrible,
On
though, because
FanDuel
and...
right now, he's
Okay.
at 90 to 1.
I was going to say, I know Porter and Green, since they came back, Şengün's assists have naturally fallen off a cliff, but 90 to 1 is 90 to 1. Like, I'm not going to tell you that's a dumb play.
Yeah, no. I'll take my chances with 90 to 1. I mean, come on, it's great value Jokic playing against, this is Jokic with regular cable playing against Jokic with DirecTV. I mean, I got to take my chances. All right. Delonte, what do you like prop-wise?
I like Jalen Green over his points. I think he has a good game against Nuggets defense who struggles against guards, especially athletic guards. Jalen Green's first step is outrageous. So I think he has, a big 28, 29-point game tonight. Outside of that, somebody put in the chat Aaron Gordon double-double. I don't hate that at all. I just don't know if he'll be able to get the rebounds. So that's the only thing that worries me. So I'll lean that way, but the one I do love is Jalen Green over his point total.
All right, Scott.
So I thought about maybe taking a next man up approach with Jokic being out. I don't see odds on it yet, though, but I want to look up his minutes because I'm curious how many minutes Thomas Bryant has played the last couple games, just to see how he looks. Yeah, he only played 14 minutes against the Pelicans. He hasn't really done much, so I think I'm out on Bryant. He also hasn't played the last 2 games. And I'm not. There's no chance I'm taking DeAndre Jordan double-double in 2023. I'm just not doing that. So I don't have much for that angle. I do agree with Jalen Green. Maybe Porter, if you want to go for assists. He might be worth a look for a triple-double. He's had a couple here and there. I think he had one a couple weeks ago. I maybe wouldn't mind that one. I don't know what his odds are on triple-double for Porter.
I can check
if it's north of like 40 to 1, maybe I'll consider it. But it's probably going to be closer to like 25. But I'm trying to think of what else I actually like. Do you take like Michael Porter Jr. threes? Do you take Jamal Murray threes?
Okay. I don't see a number for Kevin Porter triple-double. But his double-double was at plus 650. Now, you heard what I said the odds for Şengün was. Now, granted, Şengün has an easier path to a double-double. It's easier to get rebounds than assists. But, I mean, Kevin Porter's triple-double price, if they drop it, should be up there because plus 650 for a double-double is not,
Man,
that's I like that play right there for sure.
I like the 650 for double-double anyway, but a triple-double, I think it's worth a flyer for a guy that's actually had a triple-double recently.
So it's a book that's hanging 18 to 1 for his triple double.
18 in this economy?
But listen, okay, so I don't know if this is a mistake, but FanDuel has him at 95.
Who?
Yeah, Porter triple double, 95 to 1.
I don't see it. It must not be in my state.
I don't see it either.
I'll screenshot it and send it to you guys.
Wait, so you're making that's Kevin, that's not Michael, correct?
Yeah, that's Kevin.
Just making sure. Just making sure, because there are 2 Porters in this game. I wanted to make sure that there wasn't a mistake there temporarily. But
I mean, I don't know. It could be a mistake. I don't know.
I'm looking offshore. I'm trying to see if I could find anything else. But that's worth a flyer. Like if I'm picking Houston to have a shot to win this game outright, and we're all picking Houston to cover, then somebody's going to have a pretty solid game here. I found offshore. I found 64 to 1. Like 64-1, 90-1, whatever you can potentially find. That's worth a flyer to me. I'll take that with Porter, but that double-double I don't mind either, because Denver defensively is not great. You can argue they might be better defensively without Jokic. I know that's going to be an argument Terrell might make, but Porter Jr. I think that Kevin Porter's got a decent amount of assist opportunities. Double-double's the safer option. Triple-double's fun. Give me triple-double at potentially 90-something to 1 if I can confirm that this screenshot is not doctored and it's legitimate. So
because I'm sitting here, I'm like, where do you see this at?
Hold on,
all right. There's a lot of value in this game. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. We got 4 games left. 2 might be quick. I know for a fact 1 is gonna. Well, no, it might not. Y'all might have something else to say. All right. The Portland Trailblazers are going to play the Memphis Grizzlies. Grizzlies are laying 17.5. Actually opened up at 18. Now it's at 17.5. 228.5 is the total there. Come down 5 points. Injury report for the Portland Trailblazers. All the usual suspects are out. Simons, Grant, Nurkic, Dame, Little. Nazir Little is also out. That is an addition. You have Cam Reddish, Matisse Thybulle, and Trenton Watford that are questionable. John Butler Jr. is questionable as well.
There is no way they have 10 actual players with all the people you just mentioned, right?
I don't think so. Yeah, holy crap.
It's bad.
Dylan Brooks is questionable for what it's worth. And Zaire Williams is going to be out is still no Steven Adams sighting. Not even heard good news from Steven Adams camp yet. So we'll see.
I'm assuming he'll miss at least some playoff games. Yeah, he's going to be out for a while.
All right. I just went ahead. I said it early that I just think Memphis just doesn't care. And there's no way I'm laying 17.5 with this Memphis team. And I think they don't care, even though Portland is as bad off as they are. They probably do. Memphis first quarter. I am fairly confident that Memphis is up by at least 10 in the first quarter. Now, do they give up towards the rest of the game? We'll see. But at the very least, I trust that they'll be up double digits by the first quarter. Give me Memphis first quarter minus 5.5. But I will reluctantly take Portland's plus 17.5 for the game. Scott, over to you. What are you doing?
So I'm going to lean to Memphis in this one. I understand your points that they might not care. I can understand that. They're still very good at home. It was such an awful second half against Chicago. I actually think they might be motivated for this game just because of how bad they played. And Portland, they won a game. I can only imagine how badly Chauncey Billups got yelled at by the GM that they won a game while they're trying to lose every game. Portland might go into overdrive and tank this game. Like, it would not surprise me. They won a game. They lose this game by 30, and Memphis buries them because Memphis, they were killing Chicago, and they stopped playing in the second half. I see Ja triple-doubles at 10-1. I think he could put up a big stat line if he doesn't get benched immediately in the second half when they're winning by a lot. I think Memphis at some point in this game will be up 20, and I think that they're going to cover. I'm going to lean Memphis at home. They're just a very good home team. But after Portland won a game, I think that they're going to once again kick it into we're going to lose. Like, we're going to lose this game to secure a better draft pick. It's going to happen. I think Memphis wins by 30.
All right, Lonte.
Yeah, I'm with you, Scott. I think after that poor performance in the second half, I think they come out firing. I'm also with you, Real. I like them early, so I'll probably end up splitting the unit on the first quarter, first half, and probably putting pizza money on the full game. Probably won't go big, but the first quarter, first half, then they come out and blitz Portland. I don't think they have the depth to be able to withstand some of the things that the Grizzlies want to do. So I like Memphis here, first quarter, first half, rather than full game. But I'll be on all three.
All right.
Do you have any thoughts on that Ja triple-double? Because I feel like if he plays 30 minutes, he's getting it. But yeah, I don't know if he's going to play 30 minutes.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to play a lot.
That's the problem.
I've seen Ja get a triple-double in 3 quarters, so I'm fine with it.
Do you think there's value at 10-1 despite a built-in, I don't want to say certainty, but basically a certainty that he's going to be missing some minutes because they're going to be up by a lot?
I wouldn't play it straight up, but if I'm going for some type of parlay and I want something that's going to really, help juice it, that 10-1 is really going to help. So I'd parlay it, but it's not worth it for me to just bet it straight up. I'm good. I think Josh should be getting a better price than that. 228 is the total. 228 and a half.
I'll just go
Already
Memphis
trending
team
down.
total over. I feel like we're going to be on the same page here. I don't think Portland can score. I don't mind taking a Shaedon Sharp over because he's the only player on the team that's actually going to play like 40 minutes. And he's the most blowout-proof player in the league. Guys playing 40 minutes and they're down 40 in the fourth quarter. Guy's going to play all the minutes. I don't mind his over, especially if Brooks doesn't play. I thought about maybe taking a flyer. I don't know if it's going to work out or not. Mays double-double for Portland. He had 9 assists last game against Minnesota. Maybe that's worth a look. I doubt I could find a price on that now, but it might be in like the 15-1 range or something crazy. He had 9 assists last game. Like I think that's a decent value play that you're chucking out there. We mentioned the injury report. Portland might not have enough players to pull starters if they're down 30 in the fourth quarter. I think Mays has a decent path to get over his assist number here. That would be my secret long shot play for a double-double.
All right. Any other props you like, Delonte?
I think Scott hit it on the head, especially with Shaedon Sharp. That's the only other player that I would look at.
It's 23 and a half. Like he might play 40 minutes.
Yeah, I mean he's been over in 6 of the last 7 games. He's putting up about 18 field goal attempts, so the volume's going to be there. So I have no doubt that he'll definitely be on the cusp of at least, getting at least 25, 26 in this game.
By the way, Mays double-double is roughly 14-1.
Yeah.
I don't mind a flyer there.
Yeah, I like it. Oh, gosh. That game just put me to sleep. All right. Next game on the slate. Here's something to wake me up. The Los Angeles Lakers are traveling to Utah to play the Utah Jazz. -9 for the Lakers on the road. 237.5 is the total. Injury report here, and it's a doozy because for the Los Angeles Lakers, LeBron James is questionable. As always, D'Angelo Russell and Anthony Davis are probable, as almost always. And for the Utah Jazz, Lauri Markkanen is questionable. Colin Sexton is questionable to make a return tonight. If he does return, he should have a minutes restriction coming off the bench. THT will still be getting the start. Rudy Gay, I keep saying Rudy Gobert, Jesus Christ. Rudy Gay and Jordan Clarkson are both out. And Walker Kessler is pretty done for the season with the concussion. So he's not going to be playing anymore this year. Well, maybe he'll play if they make playoffs. But in terms of this week, yeah, he's pretty much done with that concussion.
I watched him play last night on UConn. Klingon, I believe, is his alternative name.
All right. I mean, it's super duper easy here. I mean, we'll see if anybody else wants to buck the trend.
You're a system play, man.
So. Yeah, I'm not bucking the trend here. And I said it yesterday that this was going to be the game they win. And they're going to come in here and they're going to beat the Lakers on the road. Lakers are laying a really big number, 9 here. I expect I know for a fact the Jazz are going to compete all the way in the fourth quarter. So I feel good about a cover. And I like my chances to get out right here against the Lakers. So Utah +9. Utah on the money line, 30-12-1 as a dog this season. I think home dog, they're like, what is it? Something crazy. I don't know. I got to look it up. But Scott, are you sticking with my guys or are you going against them?
I think I really think the Lakers might kill this team, but I can't mess with the general principle play. I'll go with Utah. Why not?
Oh, okay. We got another one.
I'll take the Utah +9. I do have serious concerns about their defense, though. With the zone that they play, I like LeBron triple-double again. He just had one against Houston. AD's been a machine, which means he's due for a potential letdown game because I haven't bet on him since he's had this resurgence. And when I bet on him, he immediately has 15 points. But Utah has no real paint defense now because Kessler was their saving grace. And now he's not there. And you're going to be throwing in Azubuike, maybe a little bit of Olynyk. I don't mind Olynyk double-double props or something with rebounds because somebody's going to have to rebound the ball. Davis should have a good game. LeBron triple-double I'm tempted by. But I think Utah will find a way because they always find a damn way. They never die. So I'm going to go with Utah +9. I'll lean that way. I'm not going to bet it, but I'll lean that way. I am looking at LeBron assists, and I am looking at 80 points because I do think at the end of the day, with the awful defense Utah plays, the Lakers could score 120 once again, but I am going to go with the props that I mentioned before. I just think that you'll see the Lakers have a pretty solid offensive game.
All right. Delonte, are you
Yes.
going with your Lakers or my Jazz?
Yeah, I'm probably going with the Lakers here. Scott led me in the right direction with the paint presence. The Lakers should be able to get what they want in the paint. They're already a top 5 paint offense in the NBA. Without Kessler there, not much resistance. They've been playing extremely well. 1 and covered 4 of the last 5. Scored 120 plus in 3 straight games. Offense and defensive rating top 10 over the past 10 games. So they've been extremely impressive to the eyes. The Jazz are just, they're really good as a dog. 19, 18, and 1 ATS at home. So a little bit of regularity there. I don't trust their defense, like Scott said. I think the Lakers bombs away from 3, especially if Russell was in and healthy against that zone. So I like the Lakers here to get it done by double digits. Sorry, Real.
I would agree with you, but I can't even explain how Utah's covered the spread as a dog this entire season. I can't even explain it. I'm just going to blindly assume they find a way. I don't know.
Hey, man, I don't blame you.
Some things aren't meant to be understood. You just play. You just do it. And
Terrell mentioning a THT revenge game. Is this the game where THT goes for 30 and the Utah somehow covers? Maybe.
Or hasn't he had
THT
3 straight games of 30?
He's had a
THT double-double.
or 2.
Yeah. I don't see his props, though.
Double price for THT.
What do you see on it?
Oh, I don't see it, but he's gonna get a double.
I wouldn't mind points just because I think he's gonna. There's one point he's gonna try to take LeBron off the dribble, and I'm just gonna laugh my ass off. But it's gonna happen.
Is he gonna hit him with a too small?
Let me see if I could find the too small. I don't know. Maybe I feel like that's kind of overdone. But if Beverly can do it on LeBron, I feel like anyone will do it on LeBron. Let me just quickly see if I can find anything on Horton Tucker double.
21.5 for his points is it's minus 120, like pretty much consensus.
I don't see much there. I don't
His
see
double is plus 420. So take that as you wish. On to I mean, does anybody even like a play on the total? What is it over? It's just auto. It's got to be.
I'm not taking it.
I like the Jazz. Yeah, it's the over.
Yeah, I like the over.
All right. Oklahoma City Thunder are on the road playing the Golden State Warriors. Golden State opened up as a 6-point favorite. They're now an 8-point favorite. 242.5 is the total here. OKC is healthy. And Golden State is still missing Wiggins, but he'll be in the building. I mean, is this just the Golden State get right spot at home? Or does OKC be the road dogs that we know they are?
You said OKC is healthy, but they still aren't winning games. Lost to Charlotte, barely beat Detroit, lost to Indiana, and then they lost to Phoenix. So they still haven't won many games. Total in this one's 242.5. I am shocked it's this low. I am shocked that 242.5 is a low total. I love the over in this game. They played 3 times this season. Each meeting's had at least 248. Each of the last 2 meetings broke 250. And the last meeting broke 260. I'm all over the over. I see a bunch of points in this game. I think you'll see a track meet. And I think that this is a great same-game parlay type game. Curry might go for 40. Clay might go for 30. Shea might go for 40. I like the overs all over the place. I like the over. I really don't trust Golden State. I don't want to lay the 8 because I know I'll get a better line mid-game. I will get a better line at some point mid-game, and I could pull the trigger then. So I don't really have a thought on the side. I think I'd maybe consider leaning OKC, but I can't because of how bad they've been. Just give me the total. I'm going to take the over.
All right, I'll say.
Yeah, I like the Thunder here. I'll probably do the same thing with you, Scott, but I'll take the 8.5 or 8, whatever it is right now. I mean, so with the Warriors, people just keep saying, "Oh, when they get Wiggins back," but do they not remember what the Warriors look like with him? They look exactly the same.
The lineup of Steph, Clay, Wiggins, Draymond was like one of the best lineups in the league when they were all on the court. In their defense, they had that. It was just the bench wasn't giving them anything.
Yeah. I mean, so that's going to change. I don't think it's going to change with him.
But Wiggins is not playing in this game.
Yeah. No, I know. I'm just saying, like, I just don't get they're acting like Wiggins is like Steph Curry or somebody who's coming
I mean,
back to the
we
team.
don't.
He was
I
NBA
feel like
Finals.
it's a little too much Wiggins disrespect going
He
on.
was
Here.
NBA Finals MVP runner-up, so I have to at least point out his significance on the current
Iguodala
roster.
was the Finals MVP. So I mean, I don't put much weight. He did play well. I'll give him that. He played well in the Finals and throughout.
But
some
he's what Golden State needs because they have nobody who can guard anybody on the perimeter.
Yeah, like he's.
I mean, but I've seen him play
arguably the best
Wiggins
defender.
and,
He's a willing scorer. Like
I think
I
think both of you are right to some degree. I'm meeting in the middle. I don't think Golden State's good. I've said it several times, and they've been good lately because they've had an easy schedule and they have these fourth quarter runs where they blow the other team out, but they play with their food for 3 quarters. They don't look good out there. But I do agree with Terrell that having Wiggins back eventually will help out the defense. But is he going to need games to ramp up? Like they can't win a road game. Now, luckily for them, they're at home. But I don't think Golden State's a very good team. They've really killed the Thunder in Golden State in years past. They won the only home game by like 27 this year. I once again, my favorite play is the over. I'm going to stay away from the side. But I think if you do like Golden State, you can get a better number in game. I'm assuming you can at some point.
Yeah. I still like Golden State -8, and I'll take the over as well. Props. Anybody likes one? I'm just going to Shay.
I said I like the over and everything. I mean, are we taking Looney rebounds because OKC cannot rebound the ball?
Yeah.
I don't have much else. Giddy triple-double night? Question mark?
Who's that? Triple-double?
Giddy? Is it a Giddy triple-double watch
double.
party?
Yeah. I don't hate that.
That could be talked into a double.
Okay.
I don't hate that.
Curry might go for 40. That's my main
Yeah, he actually had 40 in the last matchup.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It wouldn't surprise me if he goes
either.
for 40 again. I can't tell if Terrell froze or if he's thinking. Or he's having a staring contest with himself.
I don't know.
I think he froze.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Do you have stats? Do you have ref stats in front of you by any chance?
No, I don't.
Okay. Well, to read off the refs for that game, you have Courtney Kirkland as the crew chief, Carl Lane, and Nate Green. I don't have the stats behind that, but those are the 3 refs.
I think Nate Green is more of an over ref, if I'm not mistaken.
See, the thing is, I know that Terrell and I last week were trying to mention keeping tabs on it. I'll be honest, I didn't keep any tabs on it. But I really am curious what the breakdown is between the side refs and the crew chief. Like, I'm assuming the crew chief, that's really the only trend that matters. So that's the most impactful ref because they'll determine what you can focus on game in and game out. So I don't really have much in terms of my takeaways for that. I just like the over anyway because doesn't 242.5 just feel low for the 3 games we've seen between these teams?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Both teams top 3 in pace. I don't think the Warriors' path to victory is running and gunning. They can't play a half-court, slow-paced game because
that's the Thunder's exact style too.
Exactly. So they bode well for each other. They play right into each other's hands. Now, the Thunder's they haven't covered or played well as of late. 2-8 ATS the last 10, and they haven't covered in 6 straight games against a soft schedule. Now, I will agree, Golden State is still decent at home, but I mean, I just can't trust them laying this amount of points. And it's going to be a wide variance game with all these points being scored. I think we both agree it'll probably get up to 250, 255, so.
Yeah. And according to Darrell in the comment section, thank you, Kirkland is 37-20 to the under, average point total of 224.2. Yeah, we're just going to choose to ignore because that doesn't fit our narrative, and we're just going to lean to the over. Is that right?
Yeah, but I mean, those are low, really.
Those
really
are.
low.
I have to at least point that out. That's. Yeah. Thank you for telling me that, Darrell.
Yeah.
Okay, welcome back, Terrell. How you doing?
Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Yeah.
What's up?
Oh, okay. Hey, yeah. They're clearly telling me that we need to go ahead and end this podcast. So, are we on the last game of the slate still?
No, we're about to get into the Spurs and Suns.
Oh, that's the last. Okay. All right. Appreciate it. Thanks. San Antonio Spurs are traveling to play the Phoenix Suns. Suns are laying 19. 236.5 is the total. That's come down half a point. Between these two teams, the injury report, you have Keldon Johnson is doubtful. Zach Collins, questionable. Devin Vassell, Jeremy Sohan are both out. Romeo Langford is doubtful as well. And for the Phoenix Suns, wow, guess what? Everybody's playing. It's so simple. Are the Suns going to blow out the Spurs or not?
They
If they
should,
want
but
to,
19 and a
yeah.
half's a lot. You know what? I'll lean San Antonio because why not? I'm not laying 20 in the NBA. I don't care who's on your team. I'm not laying 20. So I'll lean to San Antonio. They were competitive against Golden State. They ended up covering in the end. I was on the wrong side, but at least for the opening line. But they hung in there for 3 quarters. They beat Sacramento. Maybe they have some confidence. Like, I don't know. But I don't want to lay this with Phoenix. If Phoenix wins by 40, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not going to bet this. But on principle, I'm not going to come out here and lay 19 and a half in the NBA. So I'm going to lean to the Spurs.
Yeah, I'm 100% going to lay 19 and a half in the NBA. I just don't care. All right. Delonte.
Cool.
Yeah, I'll pass. If I had to, I'd lay it with the Suns also.
I'm hoping they get bored.
And it's a huge spread, so we just go under, right?
I'll take the Suns team total over.
Okay.
All right. I mean, if anybody wants to try their luck with a prop, you can. I can't even. Malachi Branham really hurt my feelings getting 15 when his line was at 15 and a half the other day. So my feelings still kind of hurt from that. I'm
trying to think of which bench player you want to pick because you're hoping that there's just a trickle down of minutes since the starters might not play much. You go like Terrence Ross and just hope he just hits a couple threes. Like I don't.
Or give me some TJ Warren.
Give me the Mamu over in points. He's aggressive on the boards. You know, we always criticize Ayton for being soft, and I think that Mamu can actually take it to him a little bit. And I think that he could end up scoring. Could also shoot a little bit from the outside. I like Mamu as a player. Like the more I watch him, the more I kind of like him. He's got an energy to him on a bad team that I find kind of refreshing. I think he's at a decent spot in this. I don't mind Mamu over.
Is it because he has a tennis name?
No, I mean I remember him at Seton Hall, but no, I just think that he's a decent bench big man that's a bit underpriced.
So. Yeah, that's fair.
Besides, Mamu Ginobili is a hell of a nickname that I have to patent. That's just good stuff.
Lock and dog time. Delonte, start us off. What are you doing here?
Yeah, man, this is one of the tougher shows to pick one. So I like for the lock, I'm going with the Philadelphia 76ers playing 2 at home. For the dog, I'm going with Orlando plus the 5 at home.
Again, plus the 5 is not a dog.
Well,
money line is a dog.
Is that a half and half with the money line, or like what are we doing here?
He's trying to get out of saying money line. He's trying to avoid saying the word money line.
175. There we go. Money line.
All right, there we go. I will come in here with. All right, Utah and Miami are system, so I won't steal from the people. I won't steal a play from the people. We'll go to New Orleans. Yeah, I feel confident about New Orleans getting it done. I'll take New Orleans -4. And for the dog, give me the Rockets on the money line plus 305. Scott, over to you.
All right. So I thought about taking Houston as my dog as well, but I think I'm going to take the points instead because I've seen Houston punt so many games late. Give me Houston plus the 9 as my lock. That spread seems way too high. We mentioned that Denver might be a bit hungover from watching a blowout college basketball game, so they might not be fully focused on this game. But also Jokic, we don't think is going to play, and I'm not going to overreact to them getting up for Golden State. And Golden State can't win a road game anyway. Give me Houston plus the 9 as my dog, as my lock, I mean. And for my dog, you know what? I'm going to go to a player prop. I don't like this guy. I've roasted him all year long, but it is a good price. Give me Van Vliet double-double at plus 125. He literally had 20 assists last game. It's against the same team, and it's plus 125. 20 assists? Give me half of that, and I still win. So give me the double-double for Van Vliet at plus 125. I think that price is absurd.
All right. Everybody, if you're not already, make sure you subscribe, like, comment, all that stuff on YouTube. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at NBA Gambling Podcast, not NBA Gambling Podcast, at SGPN NBA, the NBA Gambling Podcast Twitter, SGPN NBA. And make sure you leave a review on Apple and Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Leave a review, please, please, please. And other than that, we are going to get out of here because we are over the time. It was a huge slate. Basketball is back. We are going full throttle to the end of the season at the end of this week, and we will have play-in and playoff stuff for you next week. Other than that, I have nothing else to say, nothing else to do, no other way of ending the podcast. I'm just going to end it like this. Hit the like button. See, I couldn't talk all day. It's crazy. Hit the like button. We're out of here.